The thick canopy of the jungle closed in around us, swallowing the sunlight and leaving us in a perpetual twilight. The air was dense with humidity, and the constant buzz of insects created an eerie soundtrack to our expedition. I glanced at my companions. Mark, our fearless leader, Jenna, the linguistics expert, and Alex, our tech-savvy archaeologist. We were deep in the heart of the Xunap jungle, searching for artifacts rumored to be hidden within the ancient ruins we had been chasing for months. "According to the maps, we should be close," Mark said, his voice barely audible over the rustling leaves. The promise of untold treasures and historical significance drove us forward, despite the oppressive heat and relentless bugs. After hours of hacking through the underbrush, we stumbled upon a stone structure, half consumed by the jungle. Vines snaked their way up crumbling walls, adorned with faded carvings of forgotten gods. The air grew colder as we approached, a stark contrast to the sweltering heat we had endured all day. "This is it," Jenna whispered, her eyes wide with awe. "The Temple of Xunap." We entered the temple cautiously, our flashlights casting long shadows that danced on the walls. The silence was almost tangible, broken only by the sound of our footsteps and the occasional drip of water echoing through the corridors. As we ventured deeper, the carvings became more elaborate, depicting scenes of rituals and sacrifices. My gut twisted with unease, but the thrill of discovery pushed me onward. We finally reached the heart of the temple, a vast chamber dominated by a stone altar. Atop the altar lay a golden idol, its eyes glinting in the dim light. "That's it," Mark breathed, stepping forward. "The idol of Xunap." But as his fingers closed around the artifact, the ground beneath us trembled. A low, guttural growl reverberated through the chamber, and a cold wind swept through the temple, extinguishing our flashlights. "What's happening?" Alex shouted, panic creeping into his voice. The carvings on the walls seemed to come alive, their eyes glowing with an otherworldly light. A spectral figure materialized before us, a towering guardian spirit with eyes like burning coals. Its voice echoed in our minds, a language we couldn't understand yet instinctively feared. Mark tried to back away, but the spirit raised a hand, and he was flung across the chamber like a rag doll. Jenna screamed, and Alex frantically fumbled with his equipment, trying to capture any data that might save us. "We need to get out of here," I said, my voice trembling. But the spirit blocked our path, its presence filling the room with an overwhelming sense of dread. It spoke again, and this time Jenna seemed to understand. "It's a warning," she said, her voice shaking. "It says we've trespassed on sacred ground and disturbed its eternal watch." Mark groaned from where he lay, crumpled on the floor, struggling to stand. "We have to put the idol back," he gasped. "It's the only way to appease it." With trembling hands, I lifted the idol and placed it back on the altar. The spirit paused, its fiery gaze locked on the idol. For a moment, the air was still, and hope flickered in my chest. But then the ground shook violently, and the spirit's eyes blazed brighter. "It's not enough," Jenna whispered, her face pale. "It wants more." The spirit advanced on us, its form shifting and expanding. Desperation clawed at me as I realized there was no escape. Alex was the first to fall, his screams echoing through the temple as the spirit claimed him. Mark and Jenna followed, their bodies crumpling lifelessly to the ground. I was the last one standing, paralyzed with fear. The spirit loomed over me, its gaze piercing through my soul. "I'm sorry," I whispered, tears streaming down my face. But the spirit showed no mercy. As darkness closed in, the last thing I saw was the spirit's burning eyes, and I knew that our trespass had unleashed a force far beyond our understanding. The ruins of Xunap would remain hidden, guarded by a vengeful spirit that would never again allow the outside world to disturb its sacred ground.